So good afternoon. We'll resume the chemical characteristics of water. And last class we discussed the minor and trace inorganic constituents. We have started with calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, bicarbonates. We discussed sulfates, chloride, nitrates, silica, and aluminium. So these we have discussed. So as the examination point of view, just read out what are the different sources and what are the different effects and some parameters confirm of concern. Okay, sources and effects are more than efficient, more than sufficient for the examination point of view. Or you can also remember which parameter contributes what type of health effects and environmental effects. Okay, in a short note, you can prepare and keep it with you. That this is enough for the examination point of view. Okay, and some of the metals. Okay, these are have a look, but at least you can be familiar with antimony, arsenic, barium, boron, cadmium, carbonates, chromium, and copper, and what are the related health and environmental impacts or effects. Okay, cyanide and fluoride, iron, and some mercury. So some very specific, and that also vary depending upon your areas of interest. And a pick at most 5 to 6 essential chemical characteristics and prepare a table or something. Okay, what are the different sources and effects, and what could be the possible environmental and health effects. That is more than enough for the examination point of view. Okay, yes. We'll move on the next segment, non-specific inorganic water quality indicators. So please make a note on these are water quality indicators. Okay, so by measuring these parameters, and you are in a position to say like the quality of water. Okay, please remember these are water quality indicators. We'll number one, pH of the water, and acidity and alkalinity, conductivity you can measure, and total dissolved solids you can measure, and the hardness value. And this anyway, this we are not going to discuss because this may be useful for to check whether the water it is good for irrigation or not. Okay, anyway, this we are not discussing, but pH, alkalinity and acidity, electrical conductivity, and total dissolved solids, and also hardness. So these are water quality indicators or parameters. Okay, so we'll see one by one. And these parameters, I think you would have already familiarized in first year chemistry subject or what. Okay, so something you would have studied. So hydrogen ion activity you can measure in terms of pH of the sample, pH. Okay, so pH normally contributes in the water because which influence chemical reaction rate, chemical speciation, and biological process. That's what we are discussing the individual chemical parameters also. Okay, pH parameter or pH contributes to corrosiveness and the influence with chemical reaction rate, chemical speciation, and biological process. Okay, so definition of pH you would have come across. This is negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration of a solution in terms of moles per liter. So please make a note on pH is the measure representing the negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration of a solution in moles per liter. Okay, pH is equal to minus log of H plus, and the solution or water is considered to be acidic if hydrogen H plus ion activity is greater than OH ion activity. You can remember all the time. Okay, H plus is if it is greater than OH minus ion activity. Okay, it is considered to be acidic in nature. And if it is H plus is lesser than that of OH minus, it is in basic in nature. And if it is equal, you can say neutral. Okay, so normally thus water it is neutral, considered to be neutral because the activities of H plus and OH minus is equal. Okay, so you can have a relationship. pH is less than 7 is acidic, pH is equal to 7 is neutral, where the activity. So what I meant for activity, we have to write it in square bracket. Okay, activity of H plus is equal to activity of OH minus ion. So that's what is being mentioned. And pH is greater than 7, that is basic. And these are the problems associated with the pH. Either it may give bitter or alkali taste, lead to corrosion, and it will also have a problem of formation of scales. And the pH plays a major role in leaching of metals. That's something that's important. Say example, if it is anything on metal which is attached onto the surface of the soil grain or what, and water it is comes with a pH which is less than 7, there could be possibilities of metal leaching out from the soil, which also contributes chemical characteristics of the water. So please remember, taste is one important factor and leads to corrosion, and there could be possibilities of scale formation, and pH alters the leaching capability or characteristics of metals in the soil. Okay, yes. The second parameter is alkalinity. Alkalinity you can remember simply is acid neutralizing capacity. Okay, definition you have to remember. Whatever we are discussing, something, if it is anything is being marked or if it is anything to be highlighted, and please be cautious on the examination point of view. Either maybe MCQ or maybe with some quizzes, and you are in a position to write the exact statement. Okay, alkalinity is acid neutralizing capacity of the water. Acid neutralizing capacity of the water, and it may be as a function of, please make a note on, carbonates, bicarbonates, and hydroxide. Okay, carbonates, bicarbonates, and carbonates all together you can measure in terms of alkalinity of the sample. Alkalinity. So alkalinity normally it is important in water treatment because it may be useful in treatment processes like coagulation of water and oxidation reactions and disinfection of water. This anyway we'll be discussing in detail later part of unit processes, but at least you remember right now, alkalinity is at acid neutralizing capacity, and this may be the function of carbonates, bicarbonates, and hydroxide, and it is important in treatment processes like coagulation and oxidation of organic matter or others, plus disinfection activity. Okay, yes. And you can express, because it contains 3 different species of carbonates, bicarbonates, and hydroxide, and you can measure alkalinity in terms of milligram of calcium carbonate equivalent per liter. So please make a note on alkalinity. You can measure in terms of calcium carbonate equivalent, milligram of calcium carbonate per liter of water. Okay, yes. The alkalinity measurements are used in the interpretation and control of water treatment process. That's what we are discussing in the previous slide. Okay, it is alkalinity plays a major role, and it will also useful in the interpretation and control of water treatment processes. Okay. Third parameter is about acidity. That is reverse of alkalinity. So acidity of water is its quantitative capacity to react with a strong base. That's something is important. Okay. So alkalinity we have discussed, acid neutralizing capacity. Here the acidity, the definition is quantitative capacity to react with a strong base to a designated pH. Okay, yes. And you may have again the combination of strong mineral acid, weak acids such as carbonic acid, acetic acid, and you may have hydrolysing salt of iron and aluminum sulfate may also contribute to the measured alkalinity according to the standard method of determination. So please make a note on what are all these species or which contributes acidity to the water. Okay, mineral acid and weak acid such as carbonic acid, acetic acid, and if you add salts, okay, like aluminum or iron related sulfate salts, okay, which may also contribute or which may contribute to the measured acidity according to the standard method of determination. So please remember here acid neutralizing capacity is alkalinity, and quantitative capacity to react with the base is called acidity of the sample. Okay. Yes. Next parameter is about conductivity. Okay. Conductivity, or otherwise is called as specific conductance, is a measure of TDS. So please make a note on this. Something is important. Okay. Electrical conductivity is the parameter related to total dissolved solids of the sample. Okay. You can measure EC conductivity in terms of micromole per centimeter. Please make a note on the unit for electrical conductivity is micromole or millimoles per centimeter. That is of the ionic activity of the solution in terms of the capacity to transmit current. So please make a note on electrical conductivity is measured against the capacity to transmit current in the water or solution. Okay, and there is a relationship between TDS and also EC. So please make a note on TDS is equal to 0.55 minus 0.65 times of electrical conductivity. Okay, electrical conductivity, this is easy to measure because It is the ability to transmit or ability to transmit current. So you can have a sensors or some sort of that you can measure instantly with the conductivity of the sample. Because TDS, if you go with a gravimetry measurement, what we are discussing in the solids, it takes time. Okay, so you have to take out the filtered sample and you have to go for a gravimetry method. You evaporate all the water or moisture, and the initial and final weight you can express in terms of total dissolved solids. But this conductivity you can measure very instantly. Okay, so based on the conductivity, and you can measure or you can calculate TDS of the sample using this formula 0.55 minus 0.65 times of electrical conductivity. Okay, so TDS again next parameter, and it is the measure of total ions in a solution, and it is again correlated with electroconductivity. So that's what I have discussed in the previous slide. There's something is important. So total ions present in the water, and you can measure or relate directly with the TDS of the sample. TDS of the sample. And TDS is being measured. That's what I told you. Just take a filter, and filter the raw sample, raw water. So what will happen? All your suspended solids is getting trapped, and all your dissolved solids will escape and take a known quantity of filtered water sample. So you just take a crucible and find out the initial weight W1 and pour the known quantity of filtered sample and keep it in the hot air oven, or say example water bath, remove or eliminate all the moisture or water, and the solids will be retained. Take out the final weight. You may get W2. W2 minus W1 will give you total dissolved solids. That's something is important. Okay, if you take a raw water, that is without filtration or without filter, and if you take raw water, go for a gravimetry measurement of before and after, that will give you total solids. Okay, so here it is total dissolved solids. Take a filter, remove the suspended solids, take a filtrate, measure the initial weight of the crucible, and take a known quantity of the water sample and keep it in the hot air oven or water bath. Remove the moisture or remove the water, and after removal, find out the final weight. W2 minus W1 will give you in terms of gram or milligram of dissolved solids. If you express in terms of liter, it may be milligram per liter. Okay, total dissolved solids. Okay, the last parameter is about the indicator is about hardness. Okay, hardness is the measure of the concentration of multivalent cations associated with the carbonates. Please make a note on multivalent cations: calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, and other related multivalent cations associated with the carbonates. It is also been expressed in terms of milligram per liter as calcium carbonate. Milligram per liter as calcium carbonate. Okay, so total hardness is technically the addition or sum of all polyvalent cations. If you add all polyvalent cations, it will typically equal to total hardness. Total hardness. Okay, and practically the amount of calcium magnesium ions. Okay, calcium carbonate and magnesium. Calcium and magnesium associated with carbonates or bicarbonates, that you can call it as total hardness. Okay, the amount of calcium and magnesium ions. So technically all polyvalent cations, but typically speaking or practically in the water, that is associated with only calcium and magnesium ions. Okay, so these hardness is being divided into carbonates and also non-carbonate hardness. Okay, this also you would have studied or experienced in the first year chemistry. Okay, hardness, carbonate hardness, and non-carbonate hardness. Okay. So carbonate hardness are otherwise called as temporary hardness, but something is important. It's easy to remove. If you boil or if you heat it, and all your bicarbonates are converted into carbon dioxide, you can able to remove, or you can able to easily remove temporary hardness of water by simple boiling or heating. Okay, so when the water is heated, the insoluble carbonates will precipitate and tend to form bottom deposits that are, as we have seen in the water heaters. Okay, so carbonate hardness is associated with the calcium and magnesium of bicarbonates and carbonates. Okay, you can remember simply calcium bicarbonate, calcium carbonate, magnesium bicarbonate, and magnesium carbonate. Okay, so carbonate hardness is equal to total hardness. Please remember, carbonate hardness is equal to total hardness, or total alkalinity, whichever is less. Okay, this is a thumb rule. You can remember all the time. Carbonate hardness is equal to total hardness or total alkalinity, whichever is less. Now, other component is non-carbonate hardness, NCH. Non-carbonate hardness. This is otherwise is called as permanent hardness. This cannot be removed by simple heating. This cannot be removed by simple heating. This is much expensive to remove this hardness than carbonate hardness. Please remember, NCH is somewhat tough or difficult to remove than carbonate hardness. Okay, so this is again calcium and magnesium of chlorides, nitrates, and sulfates. Please remember, calcium chloride, calcium nitrate, calcium sulfate, magnesium chloride, magnesium nitrate, and magnesium sulfate. Okay, yes. Non-carbonate hardness is easy to calculate, which is equal to total hardness minus carbonate hardness is equal to NCH, non-carbonate hardness. Okay. Okay. Here also you have to remember the thumb rule. If alkalinity is greater than total hardness, okay, test the sample and with alkalinity and hardness. If alkalinity is greater than total hardness, because you can, both the cases you have to express in terms of milligram of calcium carbonate per liter. Alkalinity is greater than total hardness, and you can simply remember non-carbonate hardness is equal to 0. Is it okay? So these are water quality indicators. Okay, please remember pH of the sample. Okay, negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. Second one is about alkalinity, is acid neutralizing capacity, and third one is acidity, is capacity to neutralize the strong base, that is here acidity. And next one is about the hardness. Okay, hardness may be associated with all polyvalent cations. That's what we have discussed. Okay, all polyvalent cations. It can be divided into carbonate and also non-carbonate hardness. Carbonate hardness otherwise is called as temporary, and it is associated with calcium and magnesium of bicarbonates and carbonates. Okay, non-carbonate, this is permanent hardness, and it is not easily removed by simple heating methods. Probably you would have come across, if you want to remove permanent hardness, you have to go for either lime soda process or demineralization process. Okay, so NCH is associated with calcium and magnesium of chlorides, nitrates, and also sulfates. Non-carbonate hardness is equal to total hardness minus carbonate hardness, and you have a relation. Alkalinity is greater than total hardness, then obviously non-carbonate hardness is equal to 0. Okay, so these are some of the points you have to remember in the case of water quality indicators. Okay, so these are the ranges. If it is a soft water, and it is in the range of up to 75 milligram per liter as CaCO3, and the hard water, if it is more than 300 milligram per liter as calcium carbonate. Is it fine? So these are water quality indicators. You need not necessarily to check all the chemical characteristics. Okay, you can measure pH, you can measure TDS, you can measure EC, you can measure alkalinity, you can also measure acidity, and you can measure the hardness of the water. These are water quality indicators. By testing these 6 or 7 parameters, and you could assess the quality of water to a considerable extent. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So being familiar with chemical characteristics, and we'll also move into organic constituents of water. Okay. So organic constituents normally comprises or combination of calcium, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Okay. So please make a note on this. Organic compounds are composed of various combination of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Relatively, these organic constituents are very, very less. Okay, please remember, normal water, drinking water, it is free from organic compounds or organic constituents. You have to remember, it should be free from organic compounds. Okay, and there could be a possibilities of these organic compounds from originate from either decay of plant and algae matter or byproducts of algal metabolism. Please make a note on this. There could be a little amount of organic constituents in the water. Okay, if you depend with say example surface water like river or lake, there could be a very, very minimum amount of the organic fractions of organic constituents. These originates from decay, plant decay, or algal decay, or mainly from algal metabolism. So there could be a traces of these organic compounds into the water. Okay, yes. And main problems, other than that, you may have a man-made organic compounds also is getting introduced in the groundwater and also surface water because of this pollution. Okay, because of this pollution, man-made organic compounds are directly introduced into surface water and groundwater sources. Main problem with organic compounds are it will impart color, taste, creates odor, and it is also being rated as oxygen depletion in water bodies. Please make a note on, because it consumes oxygen, that we'll discuss later what it is. Okay, and during microbial metabolism or degradation, these organic substances will go for degradation by its own because of microbial activity, and this microbial biodegradation or during microbial degradation there could be an oxygen depletion. Okay, microorganisms will take up oxygen in the water due to microbial degradation or microbial biodegradation. It will consume oxygen from the water bodies or water. There could be a oxygen depletion, and toxic effects. Okay, and formation of toxic compounds during disinfection. Please make a note on, if any organic matter or organic constituents is present in the water, and if you add any disinfection, okay, and it will form disinfection byproducts, DPP. That something is important. Okay, please make a note on organic matter. If it is any organic matter in the water, okay, and if you go for disinfection, disinfection is very simple, and you have to kill all the microorganisms, or if you want to remove or eradicate all the pathogens. Okay, so you can purge chlorine related chemicals. Okay, if you add chlorine to the water and chlorine reacts with like organic matter in the treated water or in the water, it will form a disinfection byproducts. That something is important. Okay, these disinfection products are highly toxic. That's what is been mentioned, toxic effects. These disinfection byproducts are highly toxic. Okay, so it will form toxic compounds during and after chlorination. So please make a note on this something. These are the real problems associated with the organic constituents. Okay, yes. So these are the naturally occurring NOM. Please make a note of something is important in examination. Naturally occurring organic matter. Okay, naturally occurring organic matter. Number one, humic compounds. That's what I have discussed. Humic compounds. Okay, so humic compounds is mainly from plant decay. So mainly from plant decay, originate from plant decay and hydrolysis. These are not biodegradable. Please make a note on. If anything on naturally occurring organic matter present, okay, or humic compounds are not readily biodegradable. It will produce yellow color to the water. It will produce a yellow color to the water. And if any humic compounds present, and it will during disinfection, okay, it will form trihalomethane. Please make a note on THM, trihalomethane. Here we have discussed simply, in the previous slide we have discussed disinfection byproducts. Okay, so one example of disinfection byproducts with chlorine plus organic matter, it will form chlorinated byproducts, that is trihalomethane. So please make a note on. Okay, and these humic compounds or humic substances are precursors. Okay, that's what something is important. Precursors of trihalomethane. If it is anything on organic matter present, then you could expect the formation of trihalomethane. Okay, so please remember disinfection byproduct as a general term, and if it is anything on humic compounds plus, and if you add chlorine, it will form trihalomethanes. Thereby, this trihalomethanes or these humic compounds are precursors of trihalomethane formation. Okay. Second one is about protein. Protein normally the food what we eat, or which is also originate from dead microorganisms and also animal. Okay, and if it is anything on the proteins contains rich amount of nitrogen. Nitrogen quickly undergoes hydrolysis, and which transform into ammonia. That's what we have discussed in the chemical characteristics also. Okay, proteins what we eat, which contain organic nitrogen hydrolyzes into ammonia. Okay, that something is important. Please make a note on this. Okay, a protein which is mainly from or originates from dead microorganisms and also animal, and which further hydrolyze into organic nitrogen. Organic nitrogen undergoes quick hydrolysis process, which will form ammonia. Okay, yes. Protein is the second organic compound, and you may get a lot of tannin and lignin. Okay, these also mainly from plant decay, and you may also have grease and wax, and which also originates from plant life cycle, and aromatic oil again from plant life cycle, and sugar and carbohydrates. Sugar and also carbohydrates. These also originate from plant life cycle or from a plant decay. Okay, yes. And most of the carbohydrates are readily biodegradable. Okay, so please make a note on. These are all naturally occurring organic components in the water. Humic compounds, proteins, tannin and lignin, grease and wax, aromatic oil, sugar and other carbohydrates. Okay, so sugars comparatively with other organic components, sugars and carbohydrates are readily biodegradable. That's something is important. For example, sugar, starch, cellulose, and wood fibers are readily biodegradable. Okay, biodegradable in the sense is microorganisms will take up and degrade into lighter substances. That's what readily biodegradable. Okay, and in addition to that, you have a lot of man-made organic matter. Anyway, this we are not going to discuss in detail, and there could be a man-made organic matter addition also into the surface water and groundwater bodies. Agrochemical, volatile organic chemicals, and we may use a lot of cleaning solvents and degreasing agents. They may use a lot of benzenes and polynuclear aromatic compounds. Okay, or organic halogens. Okay, so this also contributes a lot of organic compounds into the water. So please make a note on agrochemical, volatile organic chemical, cleaning solvents or degreasing agents, dry cleaning agents, and benzenes, and polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons, okay, which contains 2 or more benzene rings, or organic halogens. So these are man-made organic matter. Okay, if anything on with the process or anything on into the wastewater. Okay, and wastewater with treatment or without treatment is being added into our surface water, and surface water, if you fetch water for your drinking activity, which also contains a lot of these organic matter. Okay, so please remember, typically speaking, water is free from organic matter. Okay, yes, yeah. Then now these 2 points are important. How to measure these organic compounds in the water? Okay, water quality indicators you are already familiar, but how to measure these organic contents in water? This is something is important in the examination. Please read out very carefully. Okay, BOD, biochemical oxygen demand, and chemical oxygen demand. Okay, so how to measure these organic content in the water? Okay, 2 measurements. One is you have to estimate biochemical oxygen demand of water, that is BOD, and chemical oxygen demand. Okay, so biochemical oxygen demand is the amount of oxygen consumed by the organism in the process of stabilizing waste. Imagine now you have organic matter. Okay, that's what I told you. If it is being exposed to water, okay, there could be a lot of microorganisms. Okay, these microorganisms will feed this organic matter. It will take up oxygen from the water. Okay, because it's aerobic. Okay, these microorganisms will feed or stabilize these complex organic matter. This is what I mentioned, complex organic matter into lighter fractions. Okay, that's what. Now we have to estimate how much amount of these oxygen is consumed by the microorganisms in the process of stabilizing the organic matter. Okay, that you can estimate in terms of biochemical oxygen demand. So please make it very clear. BOD is the measure of the organic strength of these contaminants. It is simple as the amount of oxygen consumed by the organisms in the process of stabilizing the waste. Each and every word have a meaning. Okay, imagine you have a lot of organic matter. If it is being disposed or added into the water, microorganisms also may be present in the water system. It will consume or stabilize the organic matter. While stabilizing this organic matter, there could be a consumption of oxygen. This consumption may be represented as depletion of oxygen in the water bodies. Okay, you just find out how much amount of oxygen is consumed by the organisms for the decomposition or stabilization of the organic matter. Okay, that you can estimate in terms of a biochemical oxygen demand. Is it okay? Biochemical oxygen demand or BOD. Is it fine? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So you can measure in the laboratory. Okay, you can measure the laboratory, measure these organic constituents in the laboratory by measuring. Third point is important. Analytically, it is measured by incubation of a sample. Incubation a sample in an incubator for 5 days at a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. Please make a note on BOD is being measured in terms of 5, 20. 5 is the duration of incubation. Okay, and 20 degrees your incubation temperature. So please make a note on. It is analytically measured by incubating the sample at an temperature incubator for 5 days at a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius and measuring the amount of oxygen consumption during that particular time. So what is very simple. Take out the sample, measure the initial DO, okay, and one more, or keep it in the same the sample in the incubator at 20 degrees Celsius for 5 days, and after 5 days you take out the sample, measure the DO final, okay, DO final, initial minus final will give you your oxygen consumption, so that you can reflect or measure in terms of biochemical oxygen demand. Okay, yes, biochemical oxygen demand. Okay, the last point. Okay, so this organic fractions may compose of carbonaceous matter and nitrogenous matter. You are already familiar. These organic fractions may be with carbonaceous matter and nitrogenous matter, because we have discussed in the previous, the waste water also contains a lot of proteinous matter, protein contents, which may also contain carbonaceous matters like starch and starch and other related materials, okay, cellulose and other related materials, which also contributes carbonaceous and nitrogenous fraction, okay, nitrogenous fraction, okay. So what will happen if the organic matter contains a lot of carbonaceous matter? These microorganisms will feed on, which will convert everything into carbon dioxide. That's what is being mentioned in the fraction. Carbonaceous portion refers to carbon content of the waste. The carbon reacts with DO and which produce carbon dioxide. Okay. On the other hand, these organic matter also contains a lot of nitrogenous fraction, which refers to ammonia. That what we had discussed in the previous slide. Ammonia also reacts with dissolved oxygen. Okay. So please remember, organic matter which contains carbonaceous matter and nitrogenous matter, or simply you remember carbon and nitrogen. Okay, the microorganisms also feed on this carbonaceous matter and nitrogenous matter, and carbon will be converted into carbon dioxide and nitrogen will be converted into further related lighter substances. Okay, so please make a note on this. Okay, so now you have to measure the BOD in incubation bottle, that we call it as BOD bottle. Okay, so BOD bottle, that the capacity of the bottle is 300 ml. Incubation bottle capacity is 300 ml. Okay, 300 ml. Please make a note on 300 ml capacity of the bottle. Okay, in the bottle, okay, let me show you the bottle. Okay, this is your BOD bottle and this is your incubator. That's what I told you. Okay, each and every bottle is being numbered with unique number. You can also note down, because if you are going with 10 samples of initial and final, you may get 20 bottles, and it is somewhat difficult to find out which bottle it is for which type of wastewater or which type of dilution. That will come back later. And each and every bottle is being numbered, and you can also note down in a tabular column 251. Say example, DO initial of one particular sample. You can note down by this numbers which is being printed in the BOD bottle. The capacity of the BOD bottle, that's what I mentioned. This is 300 ml. 300 ml neck to neck, 300 ml bottle, and this is your incubator where you can adjust the temperature. You can keep it for 20 degrees Celsius, and incubation time is 5 days. Is it okay? So BOD bottle, I think you would have seen in chemistry lab, or just remember or see the like images. Okay, BOD bottle is unique in number. You can note down the number to identify the sample, and the capacity of the bottle is 300 ml, and this is their incubator, and to maintain a constant temperature of 20 degrees Celsius, and incubation time is 5 days. Is it okay?
Yes,
is
sir.
it fine? Yeah. So in the BOD bottle, okay, these microorganisms in the BOD bottle, and you have to maintain certain conditions, or you have to create a conducive environment for the growth of microorganisms. Otherwise, what will happen? These microorganisms will not consume oxygen. If it is no consumption of oxygen, and there could not be any BOD exertion, and you are not in a position to say the organic strength of water in terms of BOD. Okay, so please make a note on, and you have to maintain a conducive environment within the bottle. You have to maintain the conducive environment within the bottle. Okay, yes. For that, please make a note on the parameters of concern. The water which is free from or should not contain any toxic materials. Please make a note on which it should not contain any toxic material. If it is any toxicity, it will inhibit the growth of microorganisms. That's number one. And you have to maintain proper pH and osmotic pressure inside the bottle. And you have to also supply the essential or optimum nutrients for the growth of microorganisms. And you have to also ensure a significant amount of mixed organisms of soil origin. So these points are very important. Please make a note on. This is something is important, because okay, in the bottle you have to maintain a conducive environment for the growth of microorganisms. For that you have to maintain certain parameters. Number one should be toxicity free, and you have to maintain favorable pH condition, and you have to also maintain proper osmotic pressure inside the bottle, and you have to sufficiently provide nutrients for the growth of microorganisms, and you have to also ensure a significant amount of population of mixed organisms may present inside the bottle. Okay, yes. Okay, the first one, how to make your water this is free from toxicity. So please make a note on, and you have to use only demineralized water. Okay, we have to use only demineralized water for dilution. That's number one, because if you use any tape water, okay, tape water, what will happen? Tape water might have with lot of chlorine. Okay, because tape water might have added lot of chlorine for disinfection. That is number one. And there could be a possibility of chloramine formation with organic matter. That's what we have discussed. Disinfection byproducts. Okay, disinfection byproducts are toxic to microorganisms, or the pipeline might have with copper. Okay, they would have some sort of copper as a pipe network, and copper also is toxic to microorganisms. Please make a note on, and whatever you fill, okay, or whatever you use for dilution of this water sample, okay, you may use only demineralized water, not tape water. Okay, tap water contains both chlorine, okay, unutilized chlorine or organic matter. There could be a possibilities of disinfection byproduct formation. Okay, and that is toxic to microorganisms. Or if the water supply network is copper, and which also sometimes has dissolved copper ions in the water, which is also toxic to microorganisms. This is second condition. Okay, yes. And favorable pH conditions can be monitored or can be done with buffering. Okay, by adding buffer. Please make a note on number one, demineralized water. Second one is you have to add buffer solution. Okay, a buffer contains a lot of potassium and sodium phosphate. Buffer solution contains potassium and sodium phosphate. Okay, by adding sodium and potassium phosphate, you can maintain proper pH condition, proper pH of water. Okay, almost is 7. Okay, and this potassium and also sodium and potassium and also sodium is also a nutrient for microorganisms. Potassium and sodium. In addition to potassium and sodium, you can also add calcium and magnesium ions. Okay. In addition to that, you have to add calcium and magnesium ions with certain salts. By the addition of calcium and magnesium, which also regulates proper osmotic pressure in the bottle. That something is important. And phosphates, of course, again it will also provide phosphorus nutrient. And in addition, in the BOD bottle, you have to add ferric chloride, magnesium sulfate, ammonium chloride, which also supplement iron, sulfur, and nitrogen. Okay, this slide is something is important. How to prepare a BOD bottle for a sample analysis. That something is important. Take a BOD bottle. Okay, if the organic strength is very minimum, and you can take out 300 ml as sample, and you can add these chemicals. Okay, you can add a buffer will give you potassium and sodium phosphates, and it will alter, or it will also maintain the pH as 7. In potassium and sodium, again it will also add a nutrient for the growth of microorganisms. And now second step, you have to maintain the proper osmotic conditions, can be with addition of calcium and magnesium salts. And calcium and magnesium, in addition to osmotic pressure maintenance, it will also give you calcium and magnesium supplement to the microorganisms. Of course, phosphate as phosphorus nutrient. Okay, and you have to also add ferric chloride, magnesium sulfate, ammonium chloride, which may also supplement for iron, sulfur, and nitrogen. Is it okay? Is it fine? Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So BOD bottle, please remember, 300 ml capacity, incubation is 5 days, 20 degrees is incubation temperature, and in the BOD bottle, you have to provide a conducive environment for the growth of microorganisms by adjusting the proper pH, and you can also maintain proper osmotic conditions, and you have to also add essential nutrients for the growth of microorganisms. You should not use tap water, but tap water contains a lot of organic matter and disinfection, chlorine. There could be a formation of disinfection byproducts. These disinfection byproducts are highly toxic to microorganisms. That's something important. You have to also ensure and sufficient group of microorganisms inside the BOD bottle. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now you have two different situations. One is this: organic strength is low, organic matter is low, and organic matter is very high. Okay, both the cases you have to go for now estimation of a BOD. Please remember, organic matter is very low and organic matter is very high. In that case, then organic matter is very low, I can go directly with 300 ml as sample. Directly in the BOD bottle. But if the organic strength is more, or otherwise your microorganisms are very big in number or high in number, I cannot go for 300 ml. There could be a competition between microorganisms, and microorganisms will go for survival of the fittest, and there could be a competition between the bacteria. Bacteria will die, and it may not exert a correct amount of oxygen demand. Okay, in that case, what you have to go for? With dilution. Please make a note on. Okay, with the dilution, you have to go for BOD estimate. That means very simply, take out 1 or 2 ml of highly concentrated wastewater, and you add dilution water. Prepare the sample and have it off in the 300 ml bottle, 300 ml BOD bottle for your measurements. Okay, so dilution water is very simple. Dilution water is your demineralized water plus additional nutrients for the growth of microorganisms. That will come back later what it is. Okay, this is one situation where you have to dilute the sample and go for a BOD measurement. Okay, the second case is you may get organic matter, but the water does not contain microorganisms. Please make a note on. It may not contain microorganisms. Okay, contains organic matter, but there is no microorganisms. In that sense also, I have to go for oxygen demand estimation, BOD estimation. So what you do in this case, you have to add Externally, you have to add microorganisms. You have to add externally. Externally from other sources. You have to add microorganisms. In that case, we can call it as addition of seeding. Okay, you can remember simple word called seeding. Seeding is very simple. You can add external microorganisms. Okay, and if you add external microorganisms in the water, what will happen? This external microorganism also consume oxygen. It will also consume oxygen. And if you add external microorganism, then you have to go for seed correction. Okay, that will come back later, or while solving the problem, you could understand better. Okay, if you add external microorganisms, then you have to have seed correction. These microorganisms also consume oxygen. Okay, that is not exact. That is not actual oxygen demand. This is a consumption of oxygen by the microorganisms. Okay, then you have to go for a seed correction. Please make a note on what is dilution water. Dilution water is very simple. Demineralized water plus essential nutrients for the growth of microorganisms. Seeding is very simple. Seeding is addition of external microorganisms to take care of your oxygen consumption. Take care of your oxygen consumption. Please make a note on the external microbial population addition also is a limit. 2 ml per liter. 2 ml per liter is more than sufficient as a seed volume. So please, these values are important. 2 ml per liter is more than sufficient as a seed volume. Imagine now if it is more seed volume, what will happen? There is more number of bacteria or microorganisms are more. There could be a competition among the bacteria. Thereby, the oxygen demand or oxygen consumption may not be, or BOD exertion may not be actual, may not be uniform. So please remember the seed volume. You can go for a maximum of 2 ml per liter. 2 ml per liter. Okay. This is what I mentioned. A BOD bottle. This is your incubation. The incubation temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. Incubation time is 5 days. 5 days. Okay. Yes. Now you can make it. This is what you have to calculate. The BOD. Okay, this is what I mentioned. This is your dilution water. Dilution. Okay, dilution water. Okay, the dilution water is very simple. That's what I told you. Distilled water. Okay, this is with unseeded. Unseeded means is water which or wastewater or organic matter which contains lot of microorganisms inbuilt. Okay, there is sufficient group of microorganisms. Okay, so distilled water or deionized water, and you can also add essential nutrients for the growth of microorganisms. Essential nutrients for the growth of microorganisms. Okay, you can prepare in excess. Okay, and you can also diffuse oxygen. Please make a note on. Before you are filling out into the BOD bottle, you have to saturate the water. For that, what normally they do, they reduce the temperature. Or before your BOD experiment, you have to keep the prepared dilution water in the refrigerator, where the temperature range is maybe 4 degrees Celsius. Reduce the temperature, because at a lower temperature, your saturation of oxygen will be higher. At this, and also you diffuse air into the dilution water, and thereby there could be a saturated oxygen in a saturation level, and in that you take out 300 ml of this dilution water. At the same time, you also add your wastewater. Please make a note on that. Something is important. You add your wastewater and 300 ml of your dilution water, and keep the sample in the incubator. And before incubation, you also measure the initial DO, and keep the sample in the incubator for 5 days. Initial DO final. Okay. And if you use this formula, initial DO minus final DO will give you your BOD of the sample. Okay, and P is your decimal volumetric fraction of wastewater used in the test. That something is important. Okay, please make a note on this. Is a dilution fraction. Okay, you just make it 1 ml in 1 liter. Okay, or 2 2 ml in 1 liter, something like, okay, this is your decimal volumetric fraction of wastewater for your estimation. Very simple, you can remember initial DO of the sample minus final DO of the sample divided by dilution fraction, okay, decimal of your volumetric fraction of wastewater used for the BOD test, you can express in terms of BOD of the sample, initial DO minus final DO divided by how much amount of the volumetric fraction used for your experiment, that you can estimate in terms of BOD of the sample. Is it fine? Anyway, we'll be solving some numerical problems. Probably you could understand better. Okay. So this test is for unseeded dilution water. That means the dilution water itself contains, or the waste itself contains a lot of microorganisms which will demand your oxygen. Okay, which will demand your oxygen. Please make a note on unseeded dilution water. Okay. Some cases, your wastewater does not contain microorganisms, or completely sterile. Okay, water or wastewater contains lot of organic matter, but it is free from microorganisms. If it is any free from microorganisms, there could not be any oxygen consumption. Okay, in that case, you have to add externally some amount of microorganisms, okay, that the volume also we discussed 2 ml per liter as maximum, 2 ml liter as maximum. In that case, what you do, you just prepare, please make a note on, BOD bottle filled with seeded dilution water, BOD water filled with only test sample. Okay, so please make a note on, you have to also estimate how much amount of the oxygen is consumed only by microorganisms, that you have to estimate, that you have to go for a seed correction. Please make a note on. Okay, if you use seed, okay, if you use external microorganisms, okay, and you have to prepare a sample only with microorganisms without wastewater, because these microorganisms will also consume oxygen for their survival. Okay, survival. So for that, you have to prepare a sample for seed correction. That something is important. Okay, so please remember, you have to solve, or you have to do the experiment with 4 different conditions: BOD, direct, and BOD with dilution, okay, and BOD with seed correction. Is it fine? So direct is very simple. You take out 300 ml of your water, which contains always is microorganisms as well as the organic matter, incubate, find out the initial and also final. That is direct. Okay, strength is very high. Organic strength is very high. What do? You just take out a known quantity of waste sample plus considerable quantity of dilution fraction. 10 ml of water, 290 ml of your, say example, dilution water. Proceed further with your DO measurements, initial and final. Find out initial minus final divided by dilution factor will give you a BOD sample. Or some cases organic matter will be there, but water does not contain any microorganisms. In that case, you have to add external microorganisms. Okay, if you add external microorganisms, then you have to prepare the sample. You have to prepare dilution water plus microorganisms alone. And next sample, you have to prepare the dilution water plus the microorganisms plus your wastewater with dilution or without dilution. Okay, so in that case, you have to go for a seed correction. Seed correction is very simple. You have to estimate how much amount of the oxygen consumption by microorganisms while adding with external mode. You are adding external microorganisms into the system. These microorganisms will consume a lot of oxygen for their survival. That cannot be taken as your oxygen demand. For that, you have to go for a seed correction. So probably you could understand better now, or you read one more time, and while solving the problem, you could understand better. Okay, yes. Now we have to calculate. The laboratory calculation is very simple. The first case is initial minus final, and you can have initial minus final of DO, and directly you can calculate the BOD sample. If you use dilution divided by dilution factor, you may get BOD directly. But if you use, please make a note on, if you use a seed, if you use as an external source as a seed, okay, now you have to go for a seed correction. Seed correction, that is you are already familiar with this formula, initial minus final with dilution fraction. Okay, that is the BOD value. But if you use, say example, external microorganisms as a seed, then you have to go for a seed correction. That is initial minus final I dash and F dash or initial DO of the seeded control sample, and F dash may be the final DO of the seeded control sample divided by D into X minus Y, X by Y. Okay, X. Okay, X is the volume of seeded dilution water. Y is the blank composed only of the seeded dilution water. Okay, please remember these formula. Anyway, will be familiarized with solving some number of problems. Okay, so I'll okay, so just note down this formula or understand the concept. That's what I told you. BOD is very simple. You are estimating the oxygen demand. Okay, oxygen demand can be estimated as direct. This is water with contains less amount of organic matter and sufficient number of bacteria, and you can go directly with the incubating bottle as 300 ml. Keep it in the incubator. Measure the initial CDO, and after 5 days of incubation, measure the final DO. Initial minus final DO will give a BOD of the sample. So case number 2, the water contains a rich amount of organisms and rich amount of say example organic matter, and if I take 300 ml directly, and it may have either maybe competitions or the 5 days of that organic matter is not taken care by your microorganisms. They have to go for a dilution. Dilution is very simple. Take out the known quantity, 10 ml of the wastewater or water, dilute with your prepared dilution water. Dilution water is very simple. That is demineralized water plus the essential nutrients and for the growth of microorganisms, as well as some addition of chemicals to maintain pH as well as osmotic pressure. What you do is just now prepare a different dilution fractions, and with the dilution prepare the sample and keep it in the incubation bottle or BOD bottle. Measure the initial DO and final DO. Initial DO minus final DO by dilution factor will give a BOD of the sample. Case number 2 is over. Okay, some cases the water contains lot of organic matter, but there is no microorganisms. Say example, completely on sterile. For that you have to add external microorganisms. If you are using external microorganism, now you have to estimate how much amount of the oxygen is depleted or taken away by the microorganisms for their survival. That is called a seed correction. Then you have to do a seed correction by only the microorganisms alone in the BOD bottle, and another bottle is BOD organic matter plus your wastewater plus dilution water, and you have to do a seed correction. So please remember this formula, but while solving problems you could understand better how to calculate the BOD of the sample. Okay, so whatever you calculate at the 5 day, that is called 5 day biochemical oxygen demand. That's what I told you. Okay, BOD 5 of the sample, 5,20. 5 represents your day of incubation and 20 represents your temperature. Okay, and if you go beyond 5 days of incubation, that is called BOD ultimate. BOD ultimate, please remember the second one, ultimate BOD. This ultimate BOD is due to carbonaceous matter plus nitrogenous matter. Carbonaceous matter plus nitrogenous matter. Okay, and as mentioned in the previous, carbon reacts with oxygen, it will form carbon dioxide. Carbon reacts with oxygen, it will also convert it into a carbon dioxide form, and nitrogen also in the form of ammonia, which also consume or reacts with oxygen. Okay, and carbon to carbon dioxide is a easy step, but nitrogen to nitrate NO3 minus is not a single step. Please make a note on. This is other group of microorganisms called Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter, and which will convert every nitrogen related products or nitrogenous matter into nitrite and further into nitrate. This may not happen within 5 days of incubation, which may happen more than 5 days of incubation. Whatever we estimate in the laboratory with 5 days of incubation represents only the carbonaceous BOD alone. Carbonaceous BOD alone is normally expressed in terms of milligram per liter. Okay. Okay, two different conditions you have to remember. Please make a note on this. Dissolved oxygen concentration of 0.5 milligram per liter practically does not cause any depletion of BOD. Please make a note on. Okay, the first condition is dissolved oxygen concentration of 0.5 milligram per liter practically does not cause any depletion of BOD. Okay, thereby depletion less than 2 milligram per liter produces erroneous results. Please make a note on. Initial minus final DO of the sample should not fall below 2 milligram per liter at any point of time. So please remember, if it is any sample falls after when you are during your experiment, you have to discard the sample and you have to repeat. Okay, depletion of oxygen should not fall below 2 milligram per liter. And please make another one is the final DO of the sample. Final DO of the sample should not fall below 0.5 milligram per liter. So please make a note on at any point of time. Okay, you should maintain a DO level in the BOD bottle as more than 0.5 milligram per liter. These two conditions you have to maintain in the BOD bottle. Okay, so that is two conditions. That is also something is important to solve some of the numerical problems. Okay, you should also check the final DO and initial final DO should not fall below 2 milligram per liter. Okay, so this is what you can do the BOD measurement in the laboratory. Probably you can also do, and you can also learn BOD measurements in the laboratory by Winkler's method. So please make a note on Winkler's method. Anyway, I'm not going to discuss in detail, and probably while in the laboratory in the virtual mode, you could also understand better with Winkler method of BOD measurements. Okay, you just take out the BOD bottle and you can add manganese sulfate. You can also add alkali acid. Okay, Winkler method of DO measurements, not BOD, DO measurements. DO measurement. Okay, take a BOD bottle. Okay, this could be 300 ml as water directly. Assume that the water does not contain any amount of excess amount of organic matter and sufficient group of microorganisms for the DO depletion. Okay, add 1 ml of alkali acid and manganese sulfate, 1 ml of alkali iodide solution, and place the stopper and then mix it well. Okay, and while adding alkali iodide as well as manganese sulfate, you could able to note down a lot of sludge formation. Okay, precipitate formation. Okay, and then you have to dissolve the precipitate by adding sulfuric acid. Okay, add sulfuric acid, mix the sample well, and you can take out a certain quantity, that is 201 ml of this sample. You have to take it, and you can titrate against ferrous ammonium sulfate, FAS, ferrous ammonium sulfate, using starch as an indicator, and the final is a dark blue color to colorless. That's the indication. Okay, so Winkler method of DO measurements. Please make a note on this. Anyway, that will be, I think you will be solving or will be preparing some samples in laboratory for DO measurements. Okay, and nowadays DO measurements also been available with the BOD monitors, BOD measurement monitors, because you can also instantly measure what is the DO of the sample. Okay, DO probes will be kept inside the water BOD bottle. You can also measure online what is the DO of the sample at any instant, any instant. Okay, yes. Okay, so I'll stop here, and whatever we have discussed today's class was the organic constituents in the water and organic compounds you can measure in terms of oxygen demand. Oxygen demand is by oxygen consumption by the microorganisms present in the water sample, initial and also final. Okay, at the incubation days of 5 days and incubation temperature of 20 degrees Celsius, and you can prepare the water sample with sufficient normal conditions in the BOD bottle. You have to maintain proper pH conditions. You have to also maintain proper osmotic pressure. You have to also give sufficient group of the nutrients for the growth, and you have to also ensure that sufficient group of microorganisms present in the water. And the incubation temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. Incubation days are 5 days. 5 days. Okay, and if some cases you have to use dilution. Dilution is very simple, and you can add demineralized water with sufficient nutrients, and you have to also diffuse oxygen, okay, for the saturation level. That's what I told you before BOD experiment. You have to prepare the dilution water, keep the normal demineralized water in the refrigerator, reduce the temperature. Assume that the reduction in temperature may sometimes help you to saturate the DO level, okay. And you can go with dilution or without dilution. In some cases, water with lot of the organic matter at the same time, a lesser amount of microorganisms are completely sterile. And if you have a sterile environment, you have to add external microorganisms into the system. And if it is this external microorganisms added, probably you have to go for a seed correction. Okay, seed correction in the sense is you have to add only dilution water plus microorganisms. You estimate how much is the oxygen consumption by the microorganisms alone, apart from your organic matter. Okay, then if you use seed, then you have to go for a seed correction. Please remember, seed you can go for a maximum of only 2 ml per liter. Okay, and conditions to be maintained in the BOD bottles are: number one, initial DO depletion should not fall below 2 milligram per liter, and the final DO of the sample, and that also should not fall below 0.5 at any point of time, 0.5 milligram per liter. Okay, whatever you estimate in the laboratories is about carbonaceous BOD, that is 5-day BOD. And if you go beyond 5 days, sometimes nitrogenous matters also will be converted into ammonia and further into nitrate by nitrosomonas and nitrobacter, so that you can estimate in terms of either NBOD or ultimate BOD, NBOD. And if you add, say example, carbonaceous BOD plus nitrogenous BOD, and you can express in terms of total BOD, okay. Yes. So I'll stop here. Probably in the next class we'll see something on nitrification and some of the important parameters with your like microbial characteristics, and with that we'll move on to with the further topics. So any clarifications here? Anything to discuss more? So please go through the notes, and if it is any difficulty, and you can also like interact with me during the class, or you can also write a mail, or you can also call me through my mobile. So you can also discuss one-to-one. It's fine. Rashwant?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So now let me download the attendance. Yeah. Thank you.